this DevOps CI/CD pipeline, the continuous deployment into production. So starting from the CI/CD, from CI, continuous integration, continuous build, and then continuous deployment. And this is actually one of the PHP applications, and I'm going to show you real time how we are going to build that one. Okay, how a developer will change the code and how it automatically get deployed into the productions. So here, as this is a PHP applications, there will be no build part will be there, and there will be no testing part will be there. So simple, the delivery part and deployment part we are focused here. So continuous integrations will be there and continuous deployment will be there. So build part is not there because it's a PHP applications. I'll share another video or link where it will have the complete Java applications to build and deploy through Nexus, another project. Okay, so this project will be simple real-time PHP applications, which I was showing you in my last class, right? This is the applications which I'm going to deliver today. So let's see how the workflow. Okay, so here is the complete diagram. If you see here, the entire diagram, if you see, this is what the project we are going to do the setups currently in the Jenkins. Okay, so what will happen here? You can see here this particular diagram. We have the source code management, that remote repository, which is the GitHub, right? So in the GitHub, we'll have the application code, right? The application code, which will be either will be provided by the development people, right? So in this particular project, what repository systems we have used here, like the repository one, we are getting it from the development people, and that repository we are going to use to put our Jenkins file. So we'll keep our Jenkins file there, and from that repository we'll trigger the build. Okay, and apart from that, we have a shared library repository also. In this shared library repository, we'll have all the necessary codes which will be used to run the pipeline, right? All the methods, Groovy methods, we are going to keep it in the shared library, which can be reused, right? And we are, as I said, we are going to use this application code, the development repository, to trigger the build, right? So we'll have different branching strategy being followed. Like we have the feature and release branches. Two branches will be there. Feature 1.0 suppose and release 1.0. So if you see this particular diagram here, so what will happen here? The first, whenever a developer, once you do all kind of setups, right? The entire flow I'm just explaining. Once the developer puts the code to the GitHub repository, to the remote repository, automatically a GitHub trigger, webhook trigger will happen, right? So it will trigger first the feature branch, and that will go to the Jenkins. Jenkins will start building and then deploy that to the lower environment, that is our test or QA environment, right? So this, once this is success, right, what will happen? Then it will create a release branch. Create release branch after test is successful. So when you feel like the test is completely okay, all the applications whatever developer has built, the thing is perfectly fine for us, then what will happen? They can easily release that branch or merge that branch to the new branch, release branch. And that release branch, once we merge, will automatically get triggered, or there will be, it will automatically get triggered by webhook, but there will be a manual approval will be there. It will not directly get into productions. That is what in organizations, in the real-time companies, they do. They never ever directly deploy into productions. If you are working for MNCs or working for big enterprise companies, enterprises, right? They'll never directly deploy into productions. But however, if you are working for a small kind of startup company, they will not follow, or they may not follow the ITIL process, right? The complete service delivery process. They don't follow. They directly do deployment, even though they would have some watch will be there. somebody will be checking that one, and some management or managers, right, delivery manager, they'll be having a look on that, and then they deploy it. So there are lots of processes, are whoever actually in application support side or production support side, operation side, they can understand how these codes are gets deployed into productions. What sort of approvals, what sort of stakeholders approval is required. Right? Everything will be there. So this the entire setup I'm going to show you today. Okay. Now let's start how we'll do the setup. So first, what we are going to do. Okay. Now let's discuss about the requirement. Once you join in a company, right, and you are part of the DevOps engineering team, what will happen? The requirement, if there is already a project is going on, then you have to get the complete details about that project from your fellow teammates or from a manager, and then you can start working. If you're a complete new project and you are going to onboard that project into your DevOps process, how you have to follow that, right? So there will be certain meetings will be there. So what will happen? They'll discuss about what the exact the project is and what is their requirement, how they want this to be deployed, build or testing or deployed to be happen. So you have to get complete details from there, and then you have to do all kind of setups. So first, once the see, without the development writing their code, you cannot do anything, because they have to provide you the complete procedure, the manual process, how they build it, how they test it, unit testing, right? Then you have to do the certain kind of setups in your Jenkins, and you have to write the pipeline script, the automation script, right? So when you got all the informations and everything, remember there will be some certain of project management tools will be there, right, like Jiras and all, to manage the workflow, the project, right? So if you are going, if you are using Jira or ServiceNow, some companies will be using ServiceNow, some companies will be Jira, right? So the Jira is a highly used project management tool to manage the entire project, right? How the project is project delivery. So there will be some sprints will be there. So each sprint will be 2 weeks of sprint, right? So every sprint we are going to add some tickets, right, which we are going to cover, which we are going to work for the entire 2 weeks of time. Within that sprint, we have to finish those works, whatever Jira tickets created. And those tickets will be created by you. What sort of applications, what sort of task you're going to execute or do in certain period of time, right? So once you got everything ready, you will get the informations about the application code repository, like the project code repository from the development people. And what you can do, you can directly write your Jenkins file over there, or you can create a separate repository for your DevOps where you can keep the Jenkins file, and from there you can execute. So in this project, I'm going to show you in a simple project where you are going to keep your Jenkins file in the project repository itself, application repo. In our next project, I'm going to show you how we can create our DevOps repository, and from the DevOps repository, how you can trigger the project, so that you can, what will happen, you can segregate the DevOps repository as well as the application repository. So whatever code you are going to write in the Jenkins file, if you are going to separate that in a separate repository, no development people or nobody will have access to that. Only DevOps people can see that repository. That setup I'll show you in our next project, the Java project, whatever I'm going to show you, right? So what will happen here? In this, we are going to see. So once we get created, obviously you have to create the shared library things, which is most important. And that code, whatever you are going to write, that will be your reused code. The code can be reused everywhere in the project or in the team, right? So once you write this one, then we'll start doing the setups in Jenkins. Okay. Now let's see. First is to work with the source code management or GitHub repository, right? Let's go ahead, log into your GitHub account, go to the repository sections, and here, if you are going to create a fresh repository, so you can go ahead very well and create a repository and write your shared library. Okay, we already have created this shared library. So this is the shared library which I have already created. And the other repository, the application repository, you have to get it from the development people. Suppose I got this repository from the development people, right? DevOps web, and this is the application suppose going to build. Then you have to write the Jenkins file. But for our project, right? For our project, I'm going to show you one of the my applications, right? My web applications which I have prepared, that I'm going to show you today, the entire from the development to production release, right? So what will happen? First, let's open the Jenkins library. Okay, like I was showing you yesterday. So if I just go to this Jenkins library, I have a branch called feature/leave 1.1 branch, and this branch I have the required shared library created. Required shared library created. Okay, so as per the requirement, now what you have to do, you have to write the pipeline script. You have to write the pipeline script. So, and I got this repo from the development people. Suppose development people gave me this particular URL, this repository, and I just opened this one. And what you have to do next, you have to go or create your own branch, right? Based on the branching strategy, you have to create your own branch. Suppose I have created 1.1, feature 1.1, which is for the development and testing. Okay, so this branch, whatever changes you have to do for the testing area, you have to work on this branch. So here what will happen, we have the project repository, we got it. Suppose this, we created a branch, and in this branch we have to create a Jenkins file. Okay, so we have to create a Jenkins file. So based on the requirement, you have to write your complete Jenkins file. So here I have just written one small Jenkins file for my project. It's just let me go with this whatever pipeline. It's very simple things is written. So what happened here? I have not used any agent here. So what agent I am going to use? The master agent itself. The master agent itself, or the master or the control machine itself, right? The controller I'm going to use, the master machine I'm going to use to execute this build. Okay, what will happen? Here I have just created some variables, right? These are the variables which I'm going to use as part of the project. Now, how you have to see? Keep in mind, whenever you are doing any kind of programming or automations, make sure you make it dynamic, okay, so that you can change what whenever is required. Never write the code static code. That means whatever code you are writing, it will be static, and you have to never hard code the things, right? If you hard code, what will happen? This particular, whenever there is, suppose there is a change in the server, then you have to change the server in the end. So other every time what you have to do, you have to make variables. Make variables, right? In that variable, whatever value you assign, suppose tomorrow it is going to change, you have to change only that variable. And these variables can be used anywhere in the project. You don't have to change everywhere. Only the variable, you have to change the value, whatever is assigned, right? So I have created here app name, application name, user ID, environment, which environment it is going to deploy, server, which server it will be deployed, and the path, deployable path, where it is going to deploy our applications. And two more stages I have simply created. As I said, this simple project does not have any build on unit testing. Simply check out and deploy the code. What is doing here? What it does, it's just getting check out. So for that, you have to write in a shared library, you have to write one git checkout method, right? So if I go to the side library, we have git checkout, right? So just go there, and here you have to write a method or call like def call, simply because in our last class I showed you, right, how we can call these Ruby methods. If it is simple, if it's already declared with defined call, and how we call that one, and if has a name of a different method name, how we'll call that one, right? Here it is the example. Now the git checkout, I have written what? Git branch. So this particular snippet code I generated from the snippet generator, right? So from the snippet generator, I generate this code git, and this is the branch which going to be used. What is this branch? Feature 1.1. So if I go here and check feature 1.1, this entire I'm going to check out, right? So in this code in the side library, I've written feature 1.1 branch in the credential ID. This credential ID is nothing but your PAT, right? Personal access token, and the URL, the project URL, which project URL you want to work on, right? So this is what you have to provide the complete details: the project URL, the PAT token, which branch you want to use it, right? Simple. This is what you get. And here you can see all these things I have hard coded. Here is the problem. So this means this particular function, there will be no meaning of reusing the code. So the meaning of sad library is now broken here. You should not hard code this. This means this particular branch is hard coded, and this particular URL also hard coded. This is wrong. I'll show you how you can change this one. Okay. Now, next go through this other one. So other one, if you see here, we have the other stage which copies or deploys the entire PHP or HTML file, whatever the code being developed or retained by the development people, that will be taken from the repository and deployed to the server, right? So let's go that particular method, this copy PHP Groovy file, and here you can see I have just written a method called function called copy file. Here I have created a stage, and under this script block I have written this particular command. What is this? It just doing, it is just executing this environment, which environment it is going to copy. So from where I got this environment? I got this environment from the Jenkins file which I have declared here, right? I got this environment file, right? Now what you can see here, after that, if you see, the next one is I have written a condition. This is a Groovy snake. See, now this entire is a Groovy file, right? Some Groovy syntax I have written here. Now I have written one if else condition. If else condition. So what is such? If env dot environment. So whatever environment sections I have declared the variables, how we'll access this one? We can directly in this method, we can just see here what happens. I have just used environment, it also get accessed within this. But if you are going to use in conditions, right, you have to use env dot the variable name. Env dot variable, what will happen? It will get dev, right? It will get dev. Now, if this environment is dev, then this piece of code will be executed. This piece of code will be executed. And within the, as it is a shell program, right? Shell script, right? Linux environment. My application is going to be deployed into a Linux machine. So I have used sh. If it will be one Windows machine, you have to write the bat here, bat script. There you have to write the Windows commands, whatever required for the deployment. So here I have just used one of the Unix command called rsync. Rsync. You can Google this command and you get lots of options. So this will do what it will do. This will just copy the file, sync the file from the local environment to the remote environment, remote machine where it is. So suppose there will be 100 files will be there. So it will only copy whatever the file is modified or added or changed. Okay, not all the 100 files. It will only copy the modified files. Okay, or newly added files. So what will do by using these options? Workspace. You know what is this workspace? This is the global environment variable. So in Jenkins, there will be some global environment variables, inbuilt variables, right? So you can use one of the inbuilt variables that's called workspace. It will give you the workspace. So what I'm doing, the entire workspace, because whenever in the checkout, right? In the checkout, we are going to check out the entire code, and that code where it will be checked out, it will be checked out into the workspace, right? Into the job workspace. So that workspace slash star means everything. And here I'm just excluding this rsync. If you just go through in Google and find it out, the manual page, you'll find this option hyphen exclude. I used it to exclude, means some sort of files I don't want to copy to productions or to the server, right? So I'm excluding. So this list of files exclude hyphen list dot txt. So here, if I just go to this particular file, here I have just put it one exclude list hyphen dot txt. So if I just open this particular file, you'll see these are the files I don't want to copy to the server. What? This Jenkins file I don't want. This is not required for the applications. This is also not required, and the Git folder also not required. And this configuration, some configuration, database configurations file, which I don't need to be copied. So I have just added into this, and this is exclude, and this file itself I don't want to copy. Exclude hyphen list. Okay, so here this command exclude from, and the file, which file you want to, all the list you put it in the file and give it. And here I have just used user ID at the rate server. This user ID and at the rate server is mentioned here in the Jenkins file. See, user ID will be root, right? User ID will be root, and the server dev.ranjitswamy.com. This is the server, right? And what next? Server user ID root and dev.ranjitswamy server colon deploy path. Which path it will be deployed? Then application name. So what will happen here? Deploy path, this one, and application name is Ranjit Swamy. Application name is Ranjit Swamy. So it will apply this var www/html/Ranjit Swamy. So it will be deploy all the files, right? This is what the development. It's very simple. It's written here. But if we go to the productions, as I showed you in this diagram, right? What is this in that diagram? We have this particular manual approval, right? Manual trigger after the approval. So once the release feature is done, tested, the release will be executed. We'll have to keep one manual interval, manual approval. With this approval, the Jenkins job will trigger and it will deploy into the productions. So how we will do that? There will be one option or one directive there in one command there in Jenkins pipeline, where you can just use input. Okay, before that, I just here one timeout method is there. in the pipeline, you can use timeout 30 minutes, unit is minutes. So 30 minutes. So what will happen? It will wait for 30 minutes for the approval. If within the 30 minutes we don't provide approval, what will happen? It will be automatically terminated. No deployment will happen. So you have to approve it if you want to deploy it. Okay. So this is what option we have given from the starting. If environment is production. Okay. If environment is production, then we have to use this one. Right. So what will happen? Now this piece of function, this piece of method, Groovy script, right, is totally reusable. Here, everything I have used is variables. Everywhere I have used variables. Even you can also use this method for your work. Only thing you have to change is the variables over here. The variables over here. Okay. Now, if I just go here, right, what you can see, this particular app name is there, and this is for development, right? For productions, we have to put one approval here, timeout, and input the message it will give you. Do you want to approve the deployment? If you place okay, yes, then it will just proceed. Okay. Okay. And then after you press okay, yes, what will happen? It will execute the next command. If you don't do, if you abort it here, it will be aborted from here. It will not execute this step. What is doing? It is using, I have used some other piece of commands here. It is directly, I'm using this one into the development. But here, as it is a production environment, I'm using a different protocol. Here, another command I'm using with rsync command, happen E options. I'm just using this particular part, SSH -P protocol. My production server with this protocol only, because this is secured server. My production server is actually secured server. Okay, SSL activated secured server. So I have used a different port, not the 22 default port, right? Secured port. Here 22 default port is used, but here I've used a secured port to copy same thing I've used here, right? Same exclude path. I don't want that particular exclude list will be there, right? So this particular path will be there, and here user ID server and deploy path only, no app name. Okay, this deploy path will be different than this. Okay, for productions, right? This particular method, see this method, whatever we have used, this will be used for different branches, for feature branches, for release branches. This particular code will be written. However, this checkout, right? Git checkout, what it will do? It will do only checkout of which branch? This feature branch. This feature branch, feature 1.1. This particular branch will be checked out. Right? Now, if I just go, I'll show you how you have to do. Now, if I just go to the release branch, sorry, go to the release branch. Here, this is the default for our development, right? If I development and testing, if I go to the release branch here, we'll have a separate. This is my production server details. This is my production server details. Okay, here is the user ID, production user ID, production server. Here, production server is directly ranjitswain.com, right? Okay, and here's the deployable path where it is going to deploy it, the code. And here I have not given any checkout. What will happen? Directly it will deploy this. Okay, this is a very simple project. Okay, guys. Now, if I just go to the feature branch, now what you will do here? In this particular feature branch, I'm going to do some changes, not in the Jenkins file. See, everything once you have written, you have to hand it over. Okay, once you finish your what retain your Jenkins file. What you have to do? You have to do one round of testing, or two round of testing, or multiple round of testing. After you fill your code, whatever pipeline script you have written, automations is working perfectly. Now it's time to hand over these things to the development people. Even you don't have to hand over also. You have to just provide them. Go ahead, like you can just change the code and that automatically will get deployed. How automatically will get deployed? For that, you have to set up the webhook, right? Now, in this particular repository, I have set up this webhook. See, if I go to the webhooks here, I have two webhooks running here. I have two webhooks running. One, let me show you. The first one, let's log in to the mobile application. Okay. Now you can see here, this particular webhook is having the payload URL. You already know how to set up the webhook. I already have showed you, right? So this is the webhook, Jenkins.ranjitswai080. This is the Jenkins URL, and this API I have used for one of the webhook. Another webhook is little different. If I just open this one, see, this is for multi-branch webhook triggered with a token. With a token, it is set up here. I'll show you how you have to generate this token and put it here. So let's go to the Jenkins now. So you have written all the shell library, all the codes. Okay. Now let's go to the Jenkins. All setups now we have to do the Jenkins, right? Plug into your Jenkins. Okay. So what happens for this project? I have created a multi-branch project. So yesterday's class we discussed about the multi-branch, right? Similarly, for my applications, I have created a multi-branch project, multi-branch pipeline project, right? Let's go to this project, and you can see I have two branches. I have filtered it out with feature 1.1 and release 1.1. Let me show you this configuration. What are the configurations I have done for this? If I go to the configure here, so git repository, which repository is going to be used, this particular repository, okay, and the token, this is the token which I'm going to use, as it is private, right? As it is a private repository, this is the token, I'm going to use it. And here is the feature and release branch. Both the branches are going to be filtered, right, and create the pipeline job. And then after that, I have filtered it out with the build configurations with the Jenkins file. Now, I was showing you this webhook trigger for multi-branch. For normal pipeline, you know how to set up. I showed you just, right? You have to use the webhook, that API, right? GitHub webhook, that API you have to use to trigger. But here we are going to use this multi-branch webhook trigger. This is the API. With that API, we are passing invoke token. We are passing Ranjit-token. I've created this token. So where we can create this token? If I go here, we have this scan multi-branch pipeline trigger. Scan multi-branch pipeline trigger. So initially, the first installations, this setup, this particular option will not be available for you. You have to install the multi-branch pipeline trigger plugin and you will get this option available. Okay, so once you get, you have to just click on this, select, and you have to provide a token name, any token name. Here I have provided as Ranjit-token. You can give any token name here. Okay, now once you provide a token name, how you will use it? Because if you are totally new and writing it, you may not be find how you have to write this one, right? Here it is given the hint. If you click this one, here it is given the complete hint how you have to use. So this is the method you have to use. What you have to Jenkins URL. In my case, it is jenkins.ranjitswai.com:8080. That is my URL, and this is the, it gives this API you have to use multi-branch webhook trigger, then invoke, then question mark token equal to the trigger token, whatever the token you have written. So I have written Ranjit token. So this copy this entire things and put it here. See Ranjit token. Whatever token I have set up here, this token I put it here. Now this particular repository or webhook trigger can understand how to and which particular job will get triggered based on the token setup. It's clear, right? Now that's only setup you have to do, right? Once it is done, let's go here. The jobs you know how to create this multi-branch jobs, right? So once multi-branch pipeline job once you create it, and you'll find these particular things will be available. Okay, now let me set up these things for you from scratch. I showed you what is it looks like, right? Now let's create the job from the scratch, right? So what I'm going to do here, let's go ahead and create new item, give a name here. Suppose I'll give Ranjit Swine production. This particular project name I gave it. Now you have to select multi-branch pipeline. Select it. Okay. Give a name, right? I'll give as something like this. I gave it. Descriptions based on your requirement and understanding. Just provide the description here and mode by Jenkins file. Before that, you have to provide the branch source. So you have to provide Git and the project repository. Which project repository we want to build and deliver. So in my case, I'm going to use this this application, right? Go here, copy, put this repository. As it is private, right? You must have to provide the credentials. If you don't provide credentials, it will throw error. Let me show you. I have not provided any credentials. Okay. Now, normally it should immediately give us, but now it's not giving this error automatically. It should come, but now it's not giving. Let's see. Behavior. Just go here. Leave it. Add behavior. Filter by name with wildcard. So here I need both feature star space release star. These two branches I want to be discovered. Okay. Now come here, come below, right? So this particular branches we have added here. Now see this particular scan, multi-branch scan, we want to set up the webhook, right? Now let's scan by webhook. And you should create a trigger, a token, right? Now let's create a token, Ranjit slash suppose demo. Sorry, not same demo, right? Ranjit demo. I created a new token here. That's all. Then good. Okay. Now let's all other things as it is. Okay, not required. Now save it. So it's throwing one error. So what is such? Could not update folder level access. But if I just go to configure here, due to this, it will not be working. Due to this credentials, it's not working. Let's go here, change the credentials. So for me, it is part demo token, right? So select this part demo token. So it's if I select any other token, it will fail. This token also it is taking good. Tomcat credentials. What is this? Okay. Even though it is taking, it will fail. it should normally immediately throw error, but it's not throwing error. It should immediately throw error here. Leave it, it is just pat domain token here selected. This is the token I'm going to use. Save it, and it's now scanning, but still it is failed. What it says, authentication failed, invalid username or password. So this user and password is expired already. So now let's recreate it, or you can delete it, regenerate a new one, or you can regenerate new token. Click on this regenerate token, right? And regenerate token. You have to set the expirations. Let be 30 days. Regenerate the token. You can see now, right? So what I can see here, I just now recreated the key, and it is now set up November 21 is the expiration date. I copied the key. Now what I have to do, once you get regenerate the key, you have to go to the credentials sections where it is manage Jenkins, and go to your credentials and the pat download taken, right? This one I just want to update, and here this password, right? Change password, new password, paste it here, right? Save. Done. This password is saved now. Let's go to the dashboard. Go to your new job, whatever job we had created. It is run this one prod release, right? Go here, configure, and let's okay. Pat demo token is already used, right? Now, if I go and do scan multi-branch pipeline, let's do scan multi-branch pipeline here. Go to the log. Okay. So this time it is success. Okay. The token generated and put it there, and it is success now. Now, if I go to this job, we'll have two things will be running. Feature 1.1 and release 1.0. Two jobs are running now. See, two jobs are running. So featured jobs is running and already success. Already it is success. If I just go here, you can see this is already checked out and copied this entire file, to the my development environment. The fast run, it will copy entire project to the deploy entire project to the server. Okay, so it is success now. But same time, if I go here, release branch is still running. Why? Because it is waiting for your approval. Now, if I just keep my trigger here, it says whether do you want to approve the deployment, yes or abort. If I put yes, then it will deploy. If I put abort, it will abort. It will terminate. See, it is terminated. What happens if I check the logs here? First time building screen changes, application timeout set 30 minutes. Do you want to approve? Yes or no? I aborted. So rejected by the user runs its fine, rejected it. Now you saw it, right? So, okay. This is when you set up the token and scanned it, it generated these branches and automatically it created and started running the jobs. But I want to set up the webhook. Automatically it should get triggered, right? Automatically should get triggered. So how it will be done? We already have created a web scan token, right? We created one web scan token here, right? This Ranjit token. Now we have to create one webhook there, where just go to the project, right? Go to the project, and there we have to create. Go to the applications settings, application settings, right? Your project repo setting, and go to the webhooks. Here we have already two webhooks set up, right? And let's go ahead and create another webhook. Add webhook. Okay. So the payload URL. So how you have to now give the payload URL. Let's get the details from here. First is Jenkins URL, right? Let's copy this Jenkins URL. Go here, put it. Done. Then what is it? Multi-branch. This particular things we have to put it here. Done, right? And then token name, token equal to Ranjit hyphen demo. This is the token we created, right? Here, Ranjit hyphen demo, right? So once we gave it, send me everything or whatever you want, or just push event or send me everything. Add webhook. See, one more webhook is now added. If I just go here, see this webhook has a different token, Ranjit demo. This particular token job will be executed. Okay, now what will happen? I have done this. Now, if I just go to the recent deliveries, you can see it has pinged successfully. Successfully, it has pinged the server. Okay. Now, what we have to do, everything all setup is done. Now, you just hand over these things to the development team. Now, development team, they don't have to see the jobs. They don't have to do anything. Only they have to focus on their writing the code, right? So what they have to do on their project, they have to go to their project. Suppose in the development part, in the feature branch, they are going to update something. And let's open the applications in the development. Okay, fine. Here, suppose they are going to use something, add something in index.html. They're doing some modification. Suppose, right? And okay, I'll not change the title here. Okay. So here is given as DevOps architect. I'm doing some little changes. I'll show you how it is getting reflected. Right here, I'm just suppose using senior DevOps. Suppose, sorry, let's cancel changes. Let's edit it, and suppose I'm going to change some content here. Here, DevOps. So before that, let's see what the application looks like now. So this is the development environment. Application name is Ranjit Swain, right? Dev.Ranjit Swain. This is my development platform. Now you can see it is given as DevOps architect. Here, lots of things are there. Based on the developments, they'll change the features and they'll just update it. They don't have to do anything. Now, DevOps engineer has handed over to the things to development people, right? So now development people will be just editing their code and updating whatever. So I just wrote it senior DevOps engineer, which is currently has given only DevOps architect, right? So here I have just given senior DevOps architect. Now let's commit the changes. So before doing this, let me, okay, I have not said save it. Okay, it's already no changes, right? So there will be another job. Let me disable these jobs. Otherwise, these jobs are unnecessary will start working also. Okay, let it be there. No problem. No need to disable it. Let it be there. So let's go to the job, registering product release. These two jobs, right? What will happen here? I'm going to edit it, commit changes. Then the developer committed the changes here. So if I just go to the webhook, right? Let's go to the webhook and see whether it has been triggered, the delivery has been done or not. So let's check it. Recent deliveries. See, it has been pushed. One trigger has been initiated. And check our job, whether this job has started running or not. Okay. Let's go to the feature branch. See, the second job also has automatically got triggered. So actually development people doesn't have to check these things, right? They don't have to check this one. So automatically, even if you close this one, automatically it will go and deploy. Now, if I see here and refresh this particular application, see automatically the development branch has been deployed to the staging environment. to the test environment. To my development server, it has been uploaded. Right? The same things, if I check in my production environment, this is my production environment. Okay, this is my production environment. In my production environment, it is still, see, this is my, and this is secured, right? That is why the port I had given a separate port, and this is secured, SSL certified. Okay, and here DevOps architect still, but in my development, it's senior dev. So I'll just do the testing. Whatever changes development has done, it will go to the test environment. So testing people will do the testing, and it looks like the font, everything is looks correct, and whatever other changes, whatever is done, it looks like correct, right? Then what will happen? Then it's okay, and you'll get the green signal approval signed off from the testing, the respective stakeholders, management. Then you have to go for production release, right? Then what happens on the day of production release? As the feature 1 point branch is tested successfully, that has to be merged into the release branch. So how they'll do? They'll go to this particular branch and they have to request, do for a pull request, right? Pull request and compare, or you can just do a pull request, or this pull request also you can compare. Okay, compare and pull request. Here, what is does feature to master, but I don't want to feature to master. I want to feature to release branch, right? So feature to release 1.0, able to merge. So now feature is the development and test branch, and this is the release production branch, right? Updated. Now create a pull request, and should we have some reviewer who will review the code and approve it. As I don't have any reviewer, normally in your organization real time there will be few reviewers added, 1 or 2 reviewers or 3 reviewers. They will review the code and then they will approve it. Normally in development, if you are going to deploy it, they'll approve it. Okay, approver and reviewer will be there. So once it is done, you have to merge into the branches. Now confirm merge. So now the code is merged to the release branch. Now the code is merged to the release branch. So what will happen now? Another trigger will happen, but this time no, feature job will not run because the changes happen to the release branch. So now the release job is started running automatically. See, I did not do anything, right? Automatically webhook triggered, not the feature branch, but it triggered the release branch automatically, right? If you see here, so this automatic is still running and waiting for the approval. Waiting for the approval, right? Yes, approved. And this is going to deploy into production. Now this has gone to productions. If I just check the logs, everything has now gone to production. Everything has now gone to production. See, done. Now if I just check it here, this is still DevOps. It was there in production, right? If I refresh this page, see, my production also got changed as per the changes done by the development people. Good. Let's log into the classroom and check if everything is fine or any issues. Suppose I'll use my credential. So guys, do change your password. I have changed my password. Okay, do change your default password is your mobile number and password also the same, right? Change the password. Now let's log in. I have already changed my password. Log in here. Yes, I am able to log in, right? So check. So guys, you can see here, due to big 100% font, we are getting 3 videos here, right? But if you reduce it to 80%, you'll get this bit. And yesterday's video was already uploaded, day 6. Okay, this is my production applications where you are seeing all this kind of thing. Right now, you saw how the productions being done. Right now, let's do quickly the same things, but I'll remove these senior things. Okay, from the part. What I'll do immediately, the same things I'm going to do quickly. So the developer has to do changes into their code. Index.html, update it. This time I'll just remove that part. Okay. Commit changes. So as soon as I commit, automatically, if I just go to the development, see, automatically the job will run and it will update it here. I'm not going to check any Jenkins job or anything. It will take hardly few seconds to complete, right? So once I do, I just see automatically changed from senior to normal DevOps architect. Done. Now same things you have to do again for production, right? What they have to do, they have to merge the code. They have to pull request, already one there, right? So from feature to release, okay, feature to release, create pull request, and this part should be done by the development people, right? Confirm merge. Merge is done. So automatically a trigger will happen to the Jenkins. Now in the Jenkins, the management people, they would have some access, or some release people, they will have access. They can come here and can trigger it. So third build is running, right? Yes. So it is deployed now. Let's go to the production. Ranjitstrain.com. Now it also changed from senior to DevOps architect. This is how the entire productions you have to do from the scratch, right? Hope you understood clearly everything, right? If you have any doubt or anything, you can just ask me so that we can discuss further. Okay.